Hello people of YouTube and welcome back. So I'm finally going to do a 52 game challenge video this year. I'm going to do it from the start and to the beginning. This is the promise I'm going to make to myself. Not very good at doing these promises, to be honest, but this one I will definitely try and stick to. 52 game challenge is basically a group of lads. It's not really a group, it's anyone can join it. It's just basically we're going to try and beat 52 games in a year. That is the sort of like target. It's basically one a week, and we record our progress along the way and hopefully get to chat about the games that we played. Basically that is what the ethos of the actual challenge is. It's not actually beating 52 games. It doesn't matter if you beat 10 games, 2 games a year, it doesn't matter. It's sort of just a way just to talk about the games that we've beaten and have it recorded and stuff like that. For myself, I record all my games that I've beaten on an app called Instagram. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. So I just basically, every time I beat a game, I take a picture of the game and I record it on there, and it just reminds me of what I played or beaten at least through the year. And then I can get to look through it all and try and remember it. So I can't remember who it was, but someone had a good idea at the beginning of the year or last year to do a video every 10 games that they've beaten, and that way it keeps it a bit more fresh in your mind. Because my problem always used to be I would try and do 2 videos a year, so I didn't over encompass, make too many videos, you know, just whittering on and stuff like that. But I always kind of like got to a point where I just completely forgot about my games. I forget things basically the next day, the next hour. I can completely forget about the game, especially stories. That's not my strong point. Mine is I love playing games, and stories are secondary. That being said, I do like RPGs. It's funny, isn't it, how it works? But yeah, so I've got 12 games I've beaten so far. It was going to be 10, but I beat another 2 this morning, and I thought, well, the last couple of days, and I thought, well, might as well just put them on. They can be the 2 at the end sort of thing. But yeah, so the first 12 games of 2024, what did I beat? Well, the first one was a digital game, so I can't show it up in my hands, but I'll probably put a video somewhere around. And that game was Star Ocean, The First Departure, I think it's called, The First Departure Arm. Basically, it's a remake from the original Super Famicom game, Star Ocean. We never got it over here until it got released on the PSP, which then got ported over to the PS4 and Switch and modern consoles basically. And that's the version that I've played. It's sort of like a remake of a remaster of a remake. And yeah, it plays amazingly. So they have changed the game up a little bit. Instead of it being like sort of like how it is on a 16-bit system, they've updated the visuals and they changed the play style a little bit. So it's an RPG, if anyone doesn't know what it is, not aware of the game. And basically you have like instead of turn-based battles, it sort of like makes it more of an action RPG where you sort of like, you have a 3D plane. You go into like random battles and stuff like that, but you go into a 3D plane and you've got a bit of a crew of you, a few of you. I think it's 3 characters. Like I say, it's been a couple of months since I played this. This is the first game. I absolutely couldn't wait to talk about this game, and then it's like everything is just completely, as soon as I press record, everything just falls out of my head. But yeah, like it sort of plays a little bit like the Tales of games, in the way you've got like a little crew and you're kind of like moving around, except it is a more 3D playing field than Tales games tend to be, because they've got like a weird like 2D plane on a 3D field. It's very strange. But yeah, this is a bit more 3D, and yeah, you kind of like, you have to kind of give commands to your other characters. So it's got that turn-based sort of elements to it, but it is very 3D action, sort of like inspired random battles. But yeah, it was the perfect game to start off the year for me. I absolutely loved it. It was very short for an RPG. It was like 20 hours or something, 20 odd hours. But I absolutely loved it. I think I beat it in 2 days. I think it was like, I enjoyed it that much. It was just like, I just really went for it. And yeah, it was what I liked about it as well. It wasn't sort of like how a lot of modern RPGs are now, where you've kind of got all these skill trees and you've got all these like characters that like will only beat certain other characters in a certain way, a little bit like very advanced rock paper scissors, and it's like sometimes it kind of overcompensates the gameplay for me, and sort of like detracts me from the game a little bit. You're just thinking about skill trees a little bit too much, where this is typical. If you're not good enough, just do a bit of grinding and you'll get there. That is like the original sort of like RPG aesthetic, and I love it. I absolutely love that. I love doing a bit of grinding to try and get to where I want to be. So yeah, that was Star Ocean. Definitely a recommendation. I would give it 8 out of 10. I would probably give it more. However, there's another remake of the sequel coming out soon, and I have a feeling that's going to be even better, because I've heard a lot of good things about that. Can't give it too good a score, can you? So next up we have got Kina. What's it called? Kina Bridge of Spirits. So basically, this is, I've heard a lot of people say this is what happens if you let what's it called, Pixar do Dark Souls. So yeah, really good game. There's stuff I wanted to talk about this game and I can't really remember, but basically a lot of people have been really recommending this, and yeah, it's a great game. Although my only downfall for this game, and I think it's more of a me thing, is there isn't sort of like an indicator of where to go. It's something that you really need to like get stuck into, look around, and go through the levels, and just properly explore it like a proper game should do. But I like a little key indicator to tell me where to go, because I can get really lost in these kind of games. But yeah, stunning game. Dark Souls reference, it's not really Dark Souls-y. It does get pretty tricky near the end. How beautiful and kiddie-like this kind of looks. It goes fucking dark, it really does. So basically, you're this character, and you're basically trying to get rid of the world of, I can't remember what it's called, a scourge or something. Like basically, yeah, the evil, isn't it really? Sort of like, yeah. So yeah, you just clear the world of that. You've got these little characters, I can't remember what they call them, suits or something, and they sort of like follow you around. You have to kind of like collect them. They're like kind of cool little characters. Yeah, this game, I think a sequel would be absolutely amazing, because it's sort of like, it's not a high budget game, but it's very good looking, very beautiful, very well made. But yeah, I think this is like instead of a AAA, it's just an A title, I would say. Yeah, definitely would love to see a sequel to this. Definitely another 8 out of 10. It would be higher if I knew where the hell I was going half the time. But yeah, definitely recommend that. Next up, I've not even shown this in the pickups yet, and it is Golf Story. So you will miss how beautiful this looks, and how I got it. And we'll actually talk about the games, the game itself. So yeah. So this game, I remember when it came out, it was one of the first like sort of like big third-party Switch games, sort of like not budget, like indie titles, sort of like indie darlings that like really made the Switch, I think. So I heard very good things about it. I think Limited Run released it, so it was literally, you could only play digitally or pay scalper fees. Fortunately, there was a Japanese. I'm talking about it, aren't I? Right. Anyway, so basically, 12 RPG challenge. That's one done earlier, but does this count? Because this is a golf PG. So basically, you have you're basically playing sort of like a 16-bit sort of like action adventure, almost Zelda-esque looking kind of map. However, you go into like golf battles and stuff like that. I was expecting it to be like sort of like turn-based, not turn-based, but like random battles, and then you had to like beat someone like that. But no, it's basically, it is what it says on the title. It's a story that you sort of like go ahead, and basically, I think, was it your dad that was a famous golfer, and you're the son, and you get older. I think you do really well. I think you was a prodigy, if I remember. Might be making this up actually, but I think you was like a prodigy, and you kind of gave it up, and then you decided you wanted to go back into it in later life. So you go to the local club, which is not the best club in the world, and yeah, you instead of like sort of like different worlds, you have like different courses that you go to, and you have to like battle against. You have to like enter competitions and like win the competitions. And yeah, there's some interesting courses. There's sort of like a Halloween sort of course, a beach course. Yeah, it's got like a lot of like golf humor, as you were. It's almost like dad jokes all the way through it. So it's like very like kitsch, very heartwarming sort of story. But for me, the golf was just perfect. It was just very basic. That you'd sort of like pick up different clubs and different abilities almost as the game sort of goes on. And yeah, it's pretty good. You have to sort of like win money and stuff like that to sort of like progress through the story and stuff, almost like experience points. Hey, so is this an RPG? I don't know, tell me. But yeah, the only thing about it is, it for me personally, it sort of like dragged on a little bit. The main gimmick was just overused, which is the golf. Not over, I mean, of course it's going to get overused, but yeah, it just kind of like just went on a bit. I think it was about 30 hours I think it took me to beat this. So is it an RPG? But yeah, I did enjoy my time with this. Like I said, I think if this was cut down to like a 15-hour story, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. There's been a lot of imitation of this game in later times. This sort of like brought the golf game back into popularity. But yeah, probably another 8 out of 10 game, I would say. Yeah, it was quite good. I enjoyed it. Definitely get this. Definitely, if you can get this cheap on the store, which I'm assuming you probably can, the Switch store, you'll be in for a good time. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Good game. On par. We're on par, aren't we? So next up we have got Parodius. So yeah, this game, not many people talk about this, although it seems to be getting a bit more popular and popular. I've seen a few people pick it up recently. But yeah, I had to play this straight away. This is what's called a boomer shooter, sort of like a shooter that's sort of like in the vein of something like Doom, Quake, stuff like that. And yeah, plays fantastically. It doesn't play as well as what was that, Iron Fury. Iron Fury was fantastic. It doesn't play as well as this, and for me, I had to change the graphic settings a little bit, because I just felt like it was a bit like it laid on the aesthetic a little bit too thick. So basically, it has sort of like pixelated graphics and stuff like that, but then it also put a pixelated filter on top. So I just removed the filter, and it just made it look so much nicer, because it just like you got pixelation over pixelation. It just didn't work for me. So yeah, I just if you're gonna play this, play it for a little bit, see what you think, and then just change the graphic settings a little bit. But yeah, no, this fantastic game. This is hyper gory, hyper like surreal, fantastic game that we're sort of like missing this day and age. The 360 was sort of like known for like the brown kind of shooters, whereas like I think the modern era is like just a realistic kind of like realistic sort of like settings or indie games. But yeah, like it's just nice to have something like this. Again, another 8 out of 10 game. Again, there is better boomer shooters out there, but this I think is quite cheap at the moment. So definitely give that a go. So I just need a bit of a drink of juice. We're on the old lychee juice today. So next up we have got, so not only that are we doing the 52 game challenge, the 12 RPG challenge, but I've also set myself a little bit of another challenge. I was watching My Life in Gaming, and I mentioned about they mentioned about like pledging 10 games from their backlogs that they want to play. And yeah, I was like, well, I'm game for that, because there's so many games in my backlog that keep saying I'm going to play, and then another year goes by and I forget about it. So yeah, I'm going to pledge 10 games that have been stuck very deep in that backlog, and put them on my list. So you don't have to play one a month, you just have to play as many as you can. And this was my first pledge game, and it is Mega Man 11. So yeah, I was kind of going through all of the Mega Mans sequentially after all the re-releases kind of came out, and I kind of got stuck at Mega Man 7 because I just didn't enjoy that one as much. It just, for me, I just enjoyed the 8-bit sort of aesthetic. how it handles just the just sort of more simplicity of the original Mega Man's. So it kind of like, I just went into a bit of limbo. I've played 9 and 10 on the Xbox 360, which I didn't enjoy as much because I had to use an Xbox 360 pad. So I really need to go back to them, because I never actually beat them games. Just because I couldn't use the D-pad on the Xbox 360. But hopefully with a PS4 I should. But anyway, I've skipped all that because I wanted to get to 11. I really wanted to see what this game was like. So this is a modern version of a modern sequel of Mega Man. So there's a lot of missteps, sort of like kind of making a new sequel into Mega Man. There was, what was it called, Mega Man Universe or something like that. That sort of got canned. That looked pretty cool. But yeah, they knocked out the park visually for this. I think they did Mega Man a very good service. But Jesus Christ, I nearly gave up on this game. So I couldn't get past the first level. I really couldn't. And this, I'm a massive Mega Man fan. I love Mega Man. I've played through the first 6 games on NES hardware. So no save states, no nothing. It was hard work, but I did it. And this is in later life, like probably like 10 years ago. But like, yeah, I couldn't beat the first stage of this. It just absolutely destroyed me. But then I was like, no, it's my pledge game. I've got to go back. And I decided to do a dirty on myself. I put it on easy mode. Yeah. So I feel really bad. But it got me to play the game, and it kind of got a bit too easy. But then after you beat the original stages, the difficulty really does ramp up a little bit after you've had it in easy mode. But yeah, like they like I say, it plays like an 8-bit Mega Man, however very visually impressive, like sort of like cartoony, almost cartoony, but not like a Flash game, if that makes sense. Sometimes these games kind of are made to look like a cartoon, but they look like a Flash game, if that makes sense. This looks spot on. But yeah, like I feel a bit bad, feel dirty doing it, but yeah, really good thing in the series, a release in the series. I was going to say something else, I can't remember, but yeah, this is another, God, we're all 8s today, aren't we? This is an 8 out of 10, and it's only because of the difficulty, and the difficulty probably would make it higher up for other people. So yeah, it's made me want to go back to 8, 9 and 10. So next up we have got Sword of the Vagrant. So this is an absolute love letter to Vanillaware games. So I was watching Clay Graphics yesterday or the day before, and he made he just picked up Odin's Fear. Sorry for I've just spoiled your video there, but he made a good point how the characters are voluptuous, and I thought that was a fantastic word that perfectly explains the art style for this game and the sort of like Vanillaware sort of things. The characters are very overly sort of like exaggerated in the body parts, sort of like the legs and the breasts, and everything is like a lot bigger than it should be. And yeah, it's very unique, and they've like I say, they've jumped on that style, and they've tried to make a Odin's Fear style game. I would call it an Odin's Fear light game. And yeah, it's basically plays very much like it, probably a bit more like Muramasa, a little bit more Muramasa than Odin's Fear, which isn't a bad thing. Again, fantastic game. So basically you're going through screen by screen, clearing out enemies. It's an action adventure, possibly RPG. Is this number 3? I don't know. I need to get someone to do a tally at the end. How many RPGs have I can I put it down for my 12 RPG challenge? But anyway, it's definitely not on the same level as Muramasa or Odin's Fear. However, it was, again, right game at the right time. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I've heard a lot of people say it's very repetitive. Again, it's kind of par of the course for these kind of games. It's not like a very overly executed sort of like combat style. However, there is little nuances, like you can get like different food to like sort of like make it attack a little bit stronger and stuff like that, which you kind of can need in the boss battles. The boss battles for me are what really shine through in this game. Really enjoyed the boss battles. It wasn't too hard, but it wasn't too easy either. They were just right, and they had a lot of like variation to the bosses. So again, I think you can pick this quite cheap up at the moment. It's not like expensive, but it's like about 20-30 quid game. And I would say I'd recommend it for that. Really enjoyed it. Almost Metroidvania-y, but it's yeah, it's not quite a Metroidvania. But yeah, fantastic game. Highly recommended. I think we're going to do another 8. We're going to do another 8. So let's have another sip. Finally, some retro. So a bit of a sad thing. Unfortunately, my cat died a couple of weeks ago. Oh shit. Cat died a couple of weeks ago, one of my cats. Yeah, it was really sad. Kind of like she just went behind my sofa, and I saw her basically as she went. She just, it was really sad. And I needed something to sort of like cheer me up a little bit, to sort of like keep me going, because it wasn't a good time. And yeah, I saw that a lot of people have been playing this, and it just made, and I was thinking about playing it myself anyway, and yeah, I just thought I'd put it on. It's something I needed, something that picked me up, of something that kind of takes you away from that. So this reminds me so much of my youth. I played this just for fun every day, just start to finish. It only takes you about an hour or so to beat it, and even though I've not played this for a few years, probably about 2 or 3 years, I still remembered where all the secrets are. It's sort of like, you know, when you have a music song that comes on and you've not heard it for years, yet you know all the words to it. It reminds me of that kind of like sort of like feeling. You can't remember it coming into it, like, oh, what are you going to do or anything like that. It's been that long that you've kind of forgotten about it. But when it starts rolling and you're there, you're just singing everything as it comes. You know every beat and everything like that. Yeah, that's Super Mario for me. It's such a good game. Very different to all the other Marios. Plays so different. I mean, you've got fireballs that pick up coins. You've got characters that never appear in any other game. There's even shmup levels and stuff like that, albeit very basic. But again, it was just, I'm not saying it made me happy and made me forget about my cat or anything like that, but it just was that pick me up that I really needed. And yeah, fantastic game. I've actually started playing the second game. I'm only doing that a little bit slower. It's a bit more involved in this game, and we'll probably talk about that later. So next up, by the way, Mario was a 10 out of 10 game. 10 out of 10. You can't get any better than that. There is no better. There is no better. Next up, we've got Warhammer Shooters. What is it? Shooters Blood and Teeth. Now this game, it looks like a, is it? I don't think it is. No, it looks like a Way Forward style game. Doesn't like, it takes inspiration for the Warhammer universe. However, it cartoonifies it, gives it a bit of humor, a bit of character, a bit different character, changes the character up a little bit. Yeah, and it's basically a run and gun game. Now, I watched videos of this and I couldn't wait to play it. It took me about a year to play this now after owning it. Battle the backlog. What do you mean? What can you say? But this game, it disappointed me a little bit, and it's because of the it's not so much the game itself, it was the control scheme. Basically, this is a twin stick shooter but plays like a platformer. So you jump using your thumbsticks. Is it not your thumbsticks? Your triggers, and you shoot by moving your stick, and then you have to press another button to shoot, and it just became overly fiddly. If this was just a normal sort of Contra style run and gun, you point up to your right and maybe press another button to stop you from running, it would made this game infinitely better, in my view, at least anyway. It wasn't like the best of run and guns, don't get me wrong. There was a little bit of stuff lacking, but I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I mean, the problem is that this game was absolutely really well executed in sort of like character design, sort of like just so many good things going on about it. It doesn't like, It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like a 2-3 hour game, but like I say, it's just the controls kind of like put me off a little bit. It's a shame you can't. I don't. Well, maybe there is, but I've not seen another way to trigger different sort of control schemes, which, like I say, a bit of a shame. But yeah, that being said, I still recommend people try it if you can get it cheap, because you might like it. You might enjoy that control scheme a little bit better than I did. But yeah, I would say still 7 out of 10. Still a 7 out of 10 game. Like I say, could be better, and that's just because of the control scheme. So next up we have got I think this is it's actually, this isn't next up, it's another digital game. So let me load it up in my mind so I can remember, because I forgot to look at it. It's a game called Horus on the Xbox. I know, stop booing, people, stop booing. I know I played some Xbox. So basically I was just one of them kind of I can't be arsed days, and my Xbox is set up in my bedroom as a way to sort of like play sort of like TV and stuff like that. It's been relegated to that because it's a digital only Xbox Series S or something, and I've run out of Game Pass, so it's just basically become a TV box. But yeah, I saw that Horus, I got a notification to say Horus has been in the sale. And it's a game that I kind of like heard a lot of good things for. It's got a physical on the Switch, but that's a limited game, so it's expensive. So yeah, I kind of picked it up, and I didn't really know what to expect. I knew it was a platformer with story, and that's about it. And yeah, what a story. It's a very interesting story. I fell head over in love with this game to start off with. When I first started playing it, I just couldn't fault it. It was amazing. It's sort of like you're playing a robot that looks like basically a Lego character, like a yellow head, and you know, sort of like that spherical yellow head. And the whole game is narrated. You're talking about your past, but currently in the present, if that makes sense. And the voice is just a text to voice sort of like script. So it's very like monotone, and it just brings so many sort of like references from media, from films, TV series, games, everything. There's just reference galore, and that's why I fell in love with this game. Absolutely fell in love with it. So then you then learn new abilities as you go along the game, and that's kind of like where I loved it and then hated it at the same time, because there was this ability where you learn to like sort of like walk on the walls and stuff like that, so you can walk upside down. But I just felt like it wasn't integrated well enough, and then that became the whole game, where sometimes you'd be like falling off the cliff, you're walking around it, and it just like the gravity doesn't change quick enough, so it's sort of like it doesn't work very well. And yeah, it was just very stiff controls, which to start off with it was okay, but like I say, it started becoming really difficult near the end, and it was more so battling the controls, which, like I say, a big shame, because I really loved the game. But that, coupled with the fact I think it took me like about 20 odd hours to beat the game, it was a very long platformer. But yeah, I really loved it. It's sort of like, it reminded me of what a modern version of sort of like Manic Miner Willy sort of would be. Like I say, you started going into like these rooms, and there'll be like sort of like what are they called, garden equipment, sort of like going across, like shears and stuff like that going across the screen. It was like, this has gone really bizarre. It's just such bizarre like storylines. There's Coronation Street references, all sorts. I mean, I would love to do a list of references, but it would be here all day. And I definitely, even though I don't know, it's a hard one to recommend, just because it does take a lot of your time. It does get difficult, because I mean, you can tell when it's difficult when the completion percentage on the Xbox says it's 5%. 5% of people have got the achievement for beating the game, and it because it does get tricky. It does really get really hard, and the length doesn't help. It took me about a month and a half to beat, just when I'd finished work I'd go to bed and play the game for an hour here, an hour there. So yeah, it just took a long time to beat. But yeah, it was, again, if it was cut down a little bit, it would have been a lot higher up to recommend, and I would have loved it a little bit more. But I mean, the 20 hours of references that just don't repeat. It's amazing how they've done it. Like, honestly, as an American as well, it's very British. As an American, I bet that people would not know what's going on half the time. But yeah, I don't know. Again, 7 out of 10. We're going to 7 out of 10. Great game. Let down by pacing, basically, and control scheme. Another one that's been let down by bloody control scheme. I feel like a gamer that hates things, don't I? But yes, next up, we've got Enderes. Don't hate this game. Actually got a lot of positive things to say about this game. So yeah, I've had this in my backlog for a while. I noticed there was a PAL version released recently, because this is a limited run games. Although, Dylan, why doesn't it have limited run on the spine? However, on the back, it says limited run there. Tell me, Dylan, what's the reason? Because I don't know myself. But anyway, basically this is a Metroidvania. It sort of like starts off with a very limited colour palette, sort of like this, sort of like pastel-y, not quite black and white, but like a little bit of colour to the black and white, if that makes sense. I'm sure there'll be a video playing to sort of like explain it in my head. But colour gets into the game a little bit more, but still very like limited. And yeah, this game, I just done like a really big walk, and I couldn't really like around the countryside with Pocky, and I couldn't walk, and I needed something very gentle, and this was very gentle, very easy going, sort of like really soothing music, soothing visuals, like I say, very Metroidvania-y. You're basically like this little girl, but you have these like these other sort of like apparitions. There's probably a better name for it than that, but like basically every time you do an attack, you attack with one of these, and you can have up to 3 different attacks. So yeah, really cool game. But it really, like I say, it was something really good to play after I just done this big walk. However, about halfway through, it just got really bloody hard. So obviously you're leveling up and stuff like that, but you're leveling up very minutely, so it's even grinding, it's probably not worth doing so much. Just actually the boss, it's not so much the levels, it's the bosses. However, saying that, the end game of this, where you basically go into like this pink, you get to another stage when it's just basically pink fog, and that hurts you, and you're like, what the hell? I nearly gave up because I just couldn't find what to do. Should have really read some of the pickups that I was doing, because one of the pickups basically said you'll be injured less by equipping this relic, I think it was called. So yeah, look, if you get to that point of the game, you'll know what I mean. But Jesus Christ, this is it's an easy but then very hard game. But yeah, definitely worth it. This has probably been the hardest completion of a Metroidvania that I've ever had, personally. However, I know other people have said differently. It's funny because we all play these games differently. Like, what could be easy to me could be hard to someone else, and vice versa. But yeah, like, definitely highly recommended. This is an 8.5. It's not quite a 9, but yeah, an 8.5. Highly recommended. Especially if you like bloody difficult games, but it's very beautiful at that. So next up, we're at 10 games. I should have been shutting off the video now. We're at 35 minutes. But wanted to talk about this game, and it is Infamous. Look at that nice lenticular cover. Although it has seen better days, it really has seen better days. But it doesn't matter because it plays. I've finally hooked up on bloody PS3. All these PS3 games behind me, and I've not played it for bloody ages. But yeah, I played the PS4 version first, Second Son. Absolutely loved it. And then went back to the original. And even though it was very basic, it's still fantastic. I love this series. For me, personally, I find this not quite as good as the first one. I was looking at like reviews of it the other day after I beat it. Because I always do that. I don't know if you guys do the same. But whenever I beat a game, I always like to see what other people have thought about the game. See if my ideas align with other people's. Because they usually don't. And it's... yeah, what I remember of the first one is being absolutely, I was blown away with it. It just was a bit more basic because obviously it was PS3. However, this to me feels a little bit less open world than the first game. I don't know if I'm just misremembering that, because a lot of people have got better memories than I have and they've all played it. But yeah, I find this a little bit less open world. It is, don't get me wrong, you're in a big city, but I just felt like you was open to explore the city a little bit more. Basically, this is a superhero game, but just without any Marvel sort of like influence. It doesn't have that sort of like tropes that sort of like superhero games do like these days. I just don't enjoy modern day superhero stuff. I like it from the 90s and below, where it's all like colourful and everything like that, a little bit less serious. Everything went really serious, and although this is serious, don't get me wrong, it just doesn't, it's more aligned to sort of like reality a little bit, even though you've got all these bloody superpowers. I don't know, there's something that I can get on board with a lot better with these Infamous games and the stuff. Sort of like The Boys. I'd much prefer to watch The Boys, or what's it called, The Umbrella Academy, than I would like a Marvel film. Don't know why, but I was really looking forward to bloody watching, what's it called, X-Men 97, because that was a cracking TV program back in the day. And then I heard about all the bloody woke agenda stuff, which we won't get into because that's not what this video is about. But yeah, anyway, yeah, this is a great game, very simple. It's about 12-13 hour game. I basically played it over a little bit of the end of a day and then a full day yesterday, and I got it beaten, and I was doing a lot of the side quests and everything like that. Like I say, I just don't feel like the side quests were that great in the game, to be honest. And I found the boss battles very easy. I found them, to me, getting a lot easier as the game came on. I don't think I died on the final boss. That being said, I mean, it still was a good game, and if I played this back in the day when this came out, I'd have been blown away. It's only because of like modern sensibilities it sort of like weakened its impact, I think. Which, yeah, I would love to see a sequel to The Second Son, or just maybe another story in the franchise, or something, or even a boys game that's done with actual love and like attention, like these are, a bit like the Batman games. But yeah, definitely recommend. Again, probably an 8, and that's only probably time that's probably reduced it. I would say this would have got a lot higher a mark if I played it a lot sooner, not as many modern games sort of like affected me. So right, we're on the last game now. Thanks for everyone for watching so far. But yeah, this game is the game that's taken me the longest to beat. I started this on New Year's Day and I didn't beat it. Got to the last boss and I didn't beat it. So I was playing it every other week, trying to beat it. And the game is Area 88 or UN Squadron, as a lot of people know. This is the worst condition box I've got on the Super Famicom. I really need to get rid of these stickers, but some of them, that one's ripped there, so I kind of like strayed away from it. Maybe I might do a bit of box repair later. But anyway, we're talking about the box again instead of the game. So yeah, I always remember this game as a kid. No one else seems to remember this story, and I remember it being on Newsround where this got pulled from shelves or something like that, or there was talking about pulling it from shelves because people are having epileptic fits. And I can remember watching that, and my mum watched it, and I never got the game because my mum said, well, you don't want to have an epileptic fit because of all the flashing lights and everything like that. No one else remembers that, but I seem to, and I can't seem to find a story to corroborate the memory that I have of this game. So I was unfortunate enough, I never got this game as a kid, and I would have loved it because I was a big Capcom fan back in the day. Still am, still love Capcom, fantastic. But yeah, so I was always intrigued about this game, and I played it over the years since I've got it again. Originally I had it on the SNES, and now I've got it on the Super Famicom. And yeah, I played it and I couldn't quite get into it. It plays very different for a normal shooter. It sort of plays like an RPG. Where like you sort of like can take the battles the way that you want. Basically, you have this overview map, and like it sort of like has a bit of a strategy of like these boats, submarines, other things coming across towards you, and you kind of like you have to do it in a certain time, because I think one plane sort of like gets really close to you if you don't take that out. But yeah, like all of they all play differently. So you also have like an upgrade system. Basically, every time you kill an enemy, you get some money, and when you beat the level, you get even more money, and then you can use that money to buy sub weapons and other ships. But doing so, like the ships all have like access to different weapons that all sort of like work better for different levels for different reasons. Almost like Mega Man, very Mega Man-y in fact, for a shooter. But like yeah, so but the thing is, if you keep upgrading your ship, you can't get the best ship. And this time around, I reduced the game down to easy. I said I'd never do that, never do it. And yeah, I kind of got to the second last boss without dying, or with well, not quite the second last level, but like the third to last, without upgrading my ship. And then I had enough money to get this ship that has access to all of the weapons. And I had to do it with a bit of grinding. Like I say, there's these sort of like convoys that come along, and basically, if you can just keep at attacking these convoys, basically coming down, it's the same level over and over again, but it just gets a little bit more money each time. It'll take you ages to get any of the ships, but it is enough to get like your sub weapons, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I just did a bit of that, got the ship that I wanted, the £10 million ship, whatever it is. And yeah, it didn't make the game any easy. You then have to level that ship up again by using the ship over and over again. And yeah, like I say, it's a little bit like an RPG. It's a shmup PG. Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, I got to the second last boss and I fucking died. I lost the credit. Second last boss. I've never got that far without losing the credit. And it was because it was easy, and it was a stupid death as well. Stupid death. Although that second last boss, I absolutely hate it. Basically, it's this ship that comes along, and it's got like a weak point going straight up. And this is a horizontal shooter, by the way. So you have to have a specific weapon, or else you're screwed. And if you in fact, you have to have like a few of them, because even on easy, that one weapon you've not got enough of to beat it. So you have to like scroll through your sub weapons, and Jesus Christ, that gets really difficult, because it gets really hairy. And then because I had the last boss, I could afford all of the sub weapons I wanted. And that last boss, I beat it in one go. I was like, Jesus Christ, I could have 1cc'd this if it wasn't for that stupid death on that last boss. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. But yeah, I'm so glad I stuck at this game, because I've passed it over so many times, just playing it once here and there, and it's sort of like a game of sort of like pattern recognition. You got to remember how to beat sort of like enemies, because you have enemies that come from behind you that stay there sometimes. So you have to like use like weapons like either a homing missile, or like this one that's like a cluster that goes around you. Sort of like you have to play the game to sort of like remember what to do. And like I say, I think that's why it kind of like got a bit easier for me this time around, because I've played it so many times now. I kind of know what the levels sort of like do, although I do still forget. But anyway, 45 minutes in, I've only talked about 12 games. So we're at 12 games in the 52 game challenge. Yeah, really pleased. I thought I was going to be here a bit sooner, I'm not going to lie. I need to start speeding up, because summer is the time where I don't have as much time to play games. So I always like to have a bit of a sort of like front log of pre-beat games, so I can sort of like catch up near the end. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Tell me, how many RPGs have I beaten? Is it 1, 2 or 3? Do the other two count? Definitely Star Ocean is one. But yeah. Are you joining the 52 game challenge? Are you joining the 12 RPG challenge? Are you going to give yourself 10 games just to specifically beat this year? Tell me your stories or make a video. That'd be great. Anyway, thanks for watching. Peace.